السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد. والذين يجتنبون كبائر الإثم والفواحش وإذا ما غضبوا هم يغفرون والذين استجابوا لربهم وأقاموا الصلاة وأمرهم شورى بينهم ومما رزقناهم ينفقون. صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Alhamdulillah. We thank and we praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now we're here again, once again, for our Halaqa. I would like to say Jazakallah for having me. And inshallah we can make this an evening of learning, we can make it an evening of reminding. And inshallah we can make it an evening where we begin to make changes to our lives, right? We learn something and we put that into practice, we put amal into that. We can go to all the lectures and we can go to all the different events and all the different conferences where we are learning and hearing about, the Islamic knowledge and all of these different things. But if there is no amal, then that's half the job, right? If there is no amal, if there is no practice upon that knowledge, then it's just knowledge, right? It's just information that's there. So inshallah, the topic I chose to speak about today are three golden advices. There's a very beautiful saying, مَا خَابَ مَنِ اسْتَخَارَ وَلَا نَدِمَ مَنِ اسْتَشَارَ وَلَا عَادَ مَنِ اقْتَصَدَ. So I based my whole talk upon these three advices. That a person doesn't really fail who does Isthiqara. Somebody does Isthiqara, they don't really fail. وَلَا نَدِمَ مَنِ اسْتَشَارَ. The person that does mashwara, shura, that does consultation, they don't have regrets. And وَلَا عَالَ مَنِ اقْتَصَدَ. The person that spends economically, they don't face poverty. These are three advices that I would like to inshallah share with you today. And this is something that when we look into ourselves, it is a desire, right? Every human being wants to be saved from these things. They want to be saved from regret. They want to be saved from failure. They want to be saved from poverty, right? Can we agree on that at least? As human beings, we all want to be saved from these three things. And so ultimately we want to make the right choices. MashaAllah, in our community, we have many different fields, right? Some people are in the tech industry, some are in the health industry, some are in different. If I wanted to get, advice on buying a home, I would go to Sister Khadija, Sister K, where is she today, right? Sister K. And if I had some medical issue, I would go to Dr. Saab. My stomach was hurting, I would go to the other Dr. Saab. Right, I would go to different people, whoever is in their field, I would, speaking of mashallah, right? So, I would go to those people in their fields, because I would want to be saved from having those regrets or face that failure. These solutions that we have in front of us, right? These are divine solutions. And these are things that we've been given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as tools, right, that we can use to protect ourselves from those failures. So the first one, inshallah, is a hadith about Isthiqara. And we all heard about Isthiqara. We might have heard of it from a long time ago. We might have heard of it recently, or we might have never heard of it. So I would like to just, inshallah, stress the importance of the Isthiqara first. What is the Isthiqara? What does Isthiqara mean? Isthiqara means to seek khair, to seek goodness. When we say istighfar, it means to seek forgiveness. So Isthiqara is to seek khair, seek goodness. That's literally what it is. And when we pray this prayer, we are seeking khair and goodness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on a certain decision, on any matter, anything that is coming in our lives. Right? So the hadith mentions that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to teach the companions, just like how we teach our children different surahs of the Quran, right? When the kids are young, and we teach them surahs of the Quran. We say, okay, say Surah Fatiha, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. We teach them these surahs and we make them copy us. The Prophet ﷺ used to teach the companions the Isthiqara dua, just like he used to teach them the surahs of the Quran. Because the Sahaba, the companions, they were Muslim. They became Muslim when they were adults, right? A lot of them, they were adults when they converted and they became Muslim. So they had to learn just like little children do in our days, right? Little children learn, converts learn, just like that. The Sahaba radiallahu anhum used to learn the surahs from the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam as well. And so this Jabir radiallahu anhu says that يُعَلِّمُ أَصْحَابَهُ الْإِسْتِخَارَ. He used to teach them the Isthiqara prayer in all the matters that used to face them. كَمَا يُعَلِّمُ السُّورَةَ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ, right? Just like how he used to teach them the surahs of the Quran. إِذَا هَمَّ أَحَدُكُمْ بِالْأَمْرِ فَلْيَرْكَعْ رَكَعْتَيْنِ. So the Prophet ﷺ gave some advices. He said that when you have an irada, when you have an intention to do something, then perform 2 rak'ats of prayer. Right? Perform 2 rak'ats of salah. Wait a second, let me just take this out. Min ghayri al-fariḍah. So not the mandatory prayers, but an optional prayer, right? Pray 2 rak'ats of prayer. Then we should make this dua. Allahumma inni astakhiruka bi'ilmik. So I'm going to go through, inshallah, I'm going to go through the translation of this dua. And we will understand how powerful this dua actually is. And how powerful this prayer actually is. Right, so the Prophet ﷺ started off, Allahumma inni astakhiruka bi'ilmik. Oh Allah, I seek goodness. Inni astakhiruka bi'ilmik. I seek goodness with your knowledge. Right? Wa astaqdiruka biqudratik. And I seek the power, right, from your power. I ask you from your bounty. Right? So the Prophet ﷺ is talking directly to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's consulting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's taught us to consult with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That when I want to do something major, when I want to do something, even if it's not major, even if it's some decision that I need to make in my life, a class that I have to take, a business deal that I'm about to go through, a house if I'm about to buy it, my children, and if they're getting married, some proposal that comes my children's way, any sort of decision that we may face. Of course, it is those decisions which are permissible, right? When it comes to things that are not permissible, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already made His opinion known, right? So it says, somebody says, Ya Allah, should I go for Hajj or not? And Hajj is mandatory upon me. Or should I, go do this act of goodness or not? Or should I do this or not? Right? If we already know that this is a boundary, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already said not to do certain things, I'm not going to do istikhara for that impermissible thing. Right? But these are things that are permissible, options that we have in front of us. Business deals, homes, so on and so forth. So, oh Allah, if this thing is good for me, so let's do the translation of it. Oh my Allah, I consult with you in this matter with your knowledge and with your power. For verily I acknowledge the power you have, I don't have. So we're making ourselves very humble in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're telling Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, you have knowledge that I don't have, you have power that I don't have. Really, putting that humility there first. That we cannot see the external, we cannot see the internal things about this person. If I'm about to go through a business deal with somebody, a partnership with somebody, I don't know what's happening in their heart. I don't know. I don't know the things that will happen in the future. I don't know. But Ya Allah, you know. You have the knowledge of these things. So you're turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that if you know in these things, وَأَنْتَ عَلَّامُ الْغُيُوبِ, you know the unseen. Right? إِن كُنْتَ تَعْلَمُ أَنَّ هَذَا الْأَمْرَ. Ya Allah, if you know this thing is good for me, if you know this thing is going to be good for me. And then the Prophet ﷺ taught us 3 things. فِي دِينِي وَمَعَاشِي وَعَاقِبَةِ أَمْرِي. If this matter is going to be good for me in my religion, in my practice of religion, وَمَعَاشِي, it's going to be good for me in my stay in this world, وَعَاقِبَةِ أَمْرِي, and ultimately it's going to be good for me when I pass away. So 3 things are really important to understand. فِي دِينِي, that person, that proposal, if they're going to be good for my religion, that they actually enable me to practice and get closer to my Creator rather than take me away from the Creator. rather than take me away from my purpose in life, right? They allow me, they facilitate my practice of deen, fi dini, wa ma'ashi, right? And my stay in this world. That this person that I'm going to be getting married to, or this business deal, or this home, whatever it is, it's actually good for my stay in this world. We want to live comfortably in the world too. And that's why we're making this consultation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that this person, this thing, this deal, whatever it may be, it's actually good for me. The class that I'm taking at college, right, or university, is this actually going to be good for me? Yes or no? Ya Allah. وَمَعَاشِي وَعَاقِبَةِ أَمْرِي. And ultimately, the most important thing, that ultimately when I pass away, this decision actually benefits me in the hereafter. It's actually good for me in the hereafter. Sometimes we make decisions that are detrimental to our hereafter. They're actually bad for our hereafter. So in this one, we're asking, Ya Allah, let it be good for my akhirah as well. وَمَعَاشِي وَعَاقِبَةِ أَمْرِي فَقْدُرْهُ لِي وَيَسِّرْهُ لِي ثُمَّ بَارِكْ لِي فِيهِ. So then we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if it's good for my deen, dunya, and my akhirah, then Ya Allah, فَقْدُرْهُ لِي. Let that thing happen for me. Let it formalize. Let it come into fruition. Let it come into reality. وَيَسِّرْهُ لِي, and make it easy for me. ثُمَّ بَارِكْ لِي فِيهِ, and then put barakah in that thing as well. So this is all the good stuff, right? This is if this thing is good for me, then Ya Allah, let it happen, let it formalize, let it come into reality, and make it easy for me, put barakah in it for me. وَإِن كُنْتَ تَعْلَمْ, and oh Allah, if you know, in your ultimate knowledge and wisdom, you know that this matter, this thing, is bad for me, is bad for my dunya, is bad for my stay in this world, is bad for my religion, my practice of religion, is bad ultimately for my akhirah, then Ya Allah, فَاصْرِفْهُ عَنِّي وَاصْرِفْنِي عَنْهُ. Then turn me away from it, and turn it away from me. To turn it away from me, and turn me away from it. And not only that, فَاصْرِفْهُ عَنِّي وَاصْرِفْنِي عَنْهُ وَاقْدُرْ لِي الْخَيْرَ حَيْثُ كَانَ. And then destined for me that which is good, put me on that path. So you're making this comprehensive dua, that if that thing is bad for me, the dunya and akhirah, then Ya Allah, turn me away from it, turn it away from me. And then guide me towards that which is good, and actually good for me and beneficial for me. So now let's take a practical or real example. Let's take the shadi thing, or let's take the business deal, for example. Let's take the business deal. Somebody proposes a deal, right? You have to put in this much money, and they're going to put in this much money, and here are all the terms, and everything is there. But you went home that night. You didn't sign anything. You went home that night. And you've done all your homework, and you are sure about this thing. You go home that night, and you pray your Isthiqara salah. And then you went to sleep. And by the way, it might take you more than once. And I'll give you my personal experience with this in a little bit. It might be that you need to do this Isthiqara prayer multiple times, many times, until there is a definite answer that happens, a definite thing that occurs, whether that business deal goes through or it doesn't go through. So you go home that night and you pray the Isthiqara salah, and then there's a dua that you can, in the beginning you can print it out, but by the end of maybe you might even memorize it, right? You might perform that salah so many times that you might have already memorized that dua. And so you recite that dua and you make a dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, if this thing is good for me, let it happen. If it's not good for me, don't let it happen, turn it away from me. The next morning, something goes wrong in this deal, for example. This person turns away from it. They find something wrong with it, or you find something wrong with it. And you say, you know what, this is not for me. So you know in your action, you know that this is my Isthiqara in action right here. I woke up the next morning and something didn't work out. And then what's going to happen is I'm not going to have regrets. I'm going to say, you know what? This is decreed. This is divine. This is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm not going to have regrets. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to say, oh, why? I'm not going to do any of that. My answer is there. It's happened. That I'm not going to be doing this business deal. And on the flip side, everything goes smoothly. Everything goes smoothly. Everything works out and everything looks good. Alhamdulillah, inshallah, there's going to be khair inside of it. Because that's what you've done. You've sought, you're seeking the khair from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When I was looking to get married, and I always give this example, it was a difficult time for me, right? So parents in the house who have children of that age or in the future, please be accommodating, right? I was talking to a group of young professionals, last week actually, just this past week. A lot of young professionals are looking to get married and they're having problems because their parents are becoming a hindrance, right? They're not facilitating, or they're not opening up that conversation with their children, so their children are kind of apprehensive that should we even go to our parent and talk to them about these kind of things, right? So when I was looking, it was difficult. I was looking all over America, North America, Barbados, Canada, all over the States. I had my other scholar friends looking for me. And my Isthiqara game was very strong. I was praying my Isthiqara salat a lot. Tahajjud prayer, right? The Tahajjud prayer, very powerful prayer for this Isthiqara, especially if you're in some kind of issue. This Isthiqara prayer is very, very, very powerful, the the prayer of Tahajjud. Waking up, Fajr time starts around 6 something, waking up 30-40 minutes before that, right? 5 o'clock or 5:30, praying Tahajjud, extra prayers, just you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala having this honest conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and say, Ya Allah, I need your assistance. And so I would, go through the months, and subhanallah, right? At the end of it, I was able to find somebody that I didn't even know existed 1 week, 2 weeks before that I met them, right? And it was written. And my Isthiqara prayer was there. I was performing it. Matter of fact, I went to her house. I was talking to her father, and I was impressed. I was like, mashallah, this is a very nice family. And then we went for Maghrib Salah, right? And after Maghrib prayer, I prayed Isthiqara as well, at that time as well. Like, Ya Allah, this is the one. Ya Allah, don't get me confused now, right? And alhamdulillah, that's exactly what happened. There was no confusion on my part where I was thinking maybe this, maybe not. It was just clear cut. Everything started to fall into place because Isthiqara prayer was there. There were some rishtas, some proposals that I really wanted to work out. I said, Ya Allah, this is the one for me, right? But they didn't work out because the Isthiqara prayer was there. And so my mindset would be, I'm not going to have regrets. This was Allah's plan, that I don't go into this because I'm seeking the khair from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There was also one time where I was looking for a car, right? I didn't have a car. I just started working and I needed a car. And there was an amazing deal I found on Craigslist. This was like years ago, right? I don't know if anybody uses Craigslist anymore, but this was years ago, 2013. So 6 years ago. I was looking for a car and I went on Craigslist and I was like, let's look for a car. There was a really good deal that I saw. Really good deal. Very low mileage and the price was perfect and everything, and it looked really nice in good condition. So I called that person up. He was in San Diego. And we're in LA, so he said my girlfriend has the car and she is in this area near where you are. So let me contact her and then she can show you the car. So we got in touch and we set a time the next day at 12 o'clock. That was the time we were going to meet. The next day at 10 o'clock in the morning. And so I said, okay, that's fine. 10 o'clock is fine for me. And that night I performed my Isthiqara Salah. I prayed my Isthiqara prayer that night. I said, Ya Allah, if this is the real deal, Ya Allah, let it happen. This is good for me. This is good. Good price, good everything. Let it happen for me. I had a roommate, because I was single at that time. These are my single days. I had a roommate named, I don't want to say his name, we're on Facebook. So I had a roommate who was a mechanic, right? He or an ex-mechanic. He knew all about cars and everything. So I said to him, can you please come with me to check out this car, make sure everything is proper? And so he said, fine. I said, but we have to go at 10 o'clock in the morning though. That's the meeting time. He said, I have an appointment in the morning, so I can't make it at 10, I can make it at 12. So I said, okay, fair enough, I'll message her in the morning. It was nighttime when I asked him. So anyways, the next morning, I prayed Isthiqara Salah, I went to sleep. The next morning, after Fajr Salah, I texted that person. And I said, can I change the meeting time to 12 o'clock? I kid you not, wallah. She said that somebody came yesterday and they put an offer and they bought the car and they took the car. Last night, the night before. Even though they had agreed to meet me and everything, somebody came yesterday, the day before, the same day somebody came, and they bought the car and it's gone. So I think to myself, that's maybe a bullet dodged, right? I dodged a bullet there, right? So alhamdulillah, this is something that we can actually bring into our lives, right? We can do Isthiqara prayer. It's not necessary that you see a dream. It's not necessary that you have to see some vision. right? This is the tajrabah, this is the experience of some people, that they saw some dream. Because they did Isthiqara prayer at night, and they saw a dream. My sister, when she was looking to get married, she did Isthiqara, and then she saw a dream. Her and that proposal, they were standing, her husband, they were standing on some white building or something, right? Some beautiful dream. And so she said, this is what I saw. So when I asked my teacher about it, she's like, no, but what is she feeling? What is she thinking about? That's dreams on the side. That's not the main determining factor for your Isthiqara. Right? So you still have to go through with what you think and you make the decision for it. Are there any questions about Isthiqara before we move on? Any questions about Isthiqara? If any question comes to you, you can ask at the end as well, inshallah. So this is what it is, right? We're asking Allah for khair in that thing, and then we turn. If it's not good for me, Allah, turn it away from me. The second one is وَلَا نَدِمَ مَنِ اسْتَشَارَ. This is another thing that the Prophet ﷺ highly, highly recommended. Matter of fact, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is the second thing now, making consultation, making mashwara, seeking counsel. So we have families, right? We have families, we have professional settings, we have the masjid, we have counsel, we seek counsel, right? This is a practice that we can all bring, a sunnah that we can all bring into our lives. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, just imagine this, he's a prophet, he's getting divine revelation from God. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would tell him that seek consultation from your companions. When they mess up, forgive them, pardon them, seek istighfar for them, and وَشَاوِرْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْرِ. Do shura, do mashwara with your companions, even though he's a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? There's a lot of barakah, a lot of khair that comes from doing consultation. And there are many etiquettes of consultation. I'll probably share with you on the ICLT group, inshallah. There's a lot of etiquettes that need to be followed when you're doing mashwara. There's too many to list right now, right? But the Prophet ﷺ would sit and he would ask his companions, that, what do you think? Some issue has come up. What do you think we should do? What do you think? And all of them would give their opinions, even though he's the messenger of Allah. They wouldn't say, you're the messenger, you should do it. You should know. No. They would give their opinion. They would say, Ya Rasulullah, I think we should do this. Ya Rasulullah, I should do that. Sometimes they would be upset. Umar radiallahu anhu, right? Sometimes they would be upset when the Prophet ﷺ would make a certain decision. Ya Rasulullah, aren't we on the truth? Why are we doing this? Why are we making this kind of deal, right? In the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. Why are we making this kind of peace treaty where it looks like it's all against us? But they would sami'na wa ata'na. At the end of the day, they would follow through with the decision of the Prophet ﷺ. Families can do this, and this is so important. Sometimes husbands think, right, that my wife doesn't know anything about this. Why should I ask her? Right? Why should I ask her? I shouldn't ask her about it. No, there might be some khair, something Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might put some thought into that person's heart, right? And they might say something. Sometimes there's somebody who doesn't have any experience in that matter, and they say something that that makes sense and that could be actually good for that person. I remember my ustad used to tell us in England, it was the winter months, and one time the gas bill came very high. So the family meeting, right? Everybody's sitting around. There was a family meeting. What should we do? All right? There's a big family. All his children, they had 5, 6 kids. The gas bill was really high that month. What are we going to do? Right? So he did this kind of family meeting. And he said, we have to, right, that month, just to kind of get everybody on board, you got to take responsibility, right, for taking long showers, right? And so he had all of them pull out some money at that moment. They were girls, they were all, not little kids, they were in their teens and above. But that's what it was, family meetings, family gatherings, where this consultation would take place. This is a thing that everybody recommends, right? This is part of positive parenting, that we sit down and we talk about things, talk about the good things that are happening, talk about things that we need to improve. There are also tips about this, right? It shouldn't be blaming and all these things. There are many tips that we can use, right, when it comes to family meetings as well. So this is this mashwara, the shura. It's very, very, very important. Ali radiallahu anhu, right? Ali radiallahu anhu is the cousin of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is such a person about whom the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, that أنا مدينة العلم. I am the city of knowledge. I am the city of knowledge. وعلي بابها. Ali is the door to that city. Right? فَمَنْ أَرَادَ الْعِلْمِ فَلْيَأْتِهِ مِنْ بَابِهِ. That whoever wants to seek and get that knowledge, they should come through its door. So Ali radiallahu anhu, because he grew up in the house of the Prophet ﷺ from a very young age, Ali radiallahu anhu was brought up